Welcome back to Star Wars Nerds Unite, episode number 134. I'm your host, Tim vanautreve. Joining me, as always, are Josh the Tosh, internet famous Mason.
Hello.
Hello. And Jennifer, super duper pregnant vanautreve. Welcome.
Hi.
Jen is kicked back in my sweet, sweet chair.
Still in the puke yellow chair.
Just cash as can be. We got a big long arm on the mic. She looks almost happy. Look at her. Asleep. Nope. Just giving me the slit throat motion. We are on episode 134, as I said. This episode is entitled Crawler Commanders. So, do you want me to do the synopsis?
I can do it real fast.
All right.
This one doesn't deserve a long synopsis.
Well, I know. That's why I should do it.
I can do quick synopses.
Okay.
It starts off pretty much right where the last episode let off, where they're at this old settlement on the southern hemisphere of the planet Lothal. And they're kind of stranded because the Lothwolves teleported them without any transport or form of communication. So they see off in the distance this giant mining crawler that's stripping the planet of resources, and they decide
burning it. Like at least fire in its wake.
Yeah. So they decide they're gonna hijack it and drive really slowly back up to the northern hemisphere.
Well, the main reason they wanted to hijack it was because they had the
it was
external...
a joke. It was a joke, Tim.
Oh. Gosh. I was just trying to explain it.
They wanted to use the communication array to try and send a message.
To Hera.
Correct.
Because it was powerful enough to get subspace.
Yes. So they sneak onto it, all sneaksies, and the commander is actually a lizard person.
A Trandoshan.
As opposed to the Rook variety of lizard person. And he's like he's like the opposite of how I imagine Trandoshans. Like I always, they're always tall and like stiff looking. And he's the opposite of that. He's short.
He's kind of rubbery.
This was so weird to me. It did not feel like Star Wars characters at all. Like they brought in so many new characters in this. I felt like it was like an episode of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or something. Like
there weren't that many new characters.
Yeah,
no, but I mean
but it was goofy.
The new villains did not seem like Star Wars characters. Yeah. They seemed like like a goofy.
This was definitely a goofy episode.
Well, and it was so dumb. Friggin', why can't I think of his name? Zeb walks up behind the guy he's rocking out with some headphones on. And instead of knocking him unconscious, he pulls his earphone off and is like, "Hey, I like this song too." And then the guy's like, "Oh, really? Do you?" Emergency alert bracelet. Yeah. What are those alert bracelets?
Life alert.
Wear? Yeah.
I've fallen and I can't get up. So he like disables the crawler and calls the Empire. Or he calls somebody else because he works with the mining guild. And he scuttles off into the reactor. And there's this other... So that was the driver. The giant Trandoshan dude, I can't remember his name.
The captain. It doesn't matter. He was the slaver.
Yeah. So Zeb ends up beating him up. Ezra goes to chase after the driver. And he ends up fighting him and like kicking him into a reactor.
He didn't kick him. He allowed him to trip over his lightsaber backward into the pit. The of
fiery
fire.
Pit of doom.
And he smiled about it. He
it was like, super weird.
That was super rad.
He was really angry at him too. Like he's like, this guy deserved to die.
Yeah, I thought he was gonna push him in with like the Force, but all he did was actually trip. And Ezra's like, I didn't even have to use all the dark side powers within me.
It was super weird. Like they wanted the driver to be a bad guy, but I didn't feel like the driver was a bad guy. He just didn't want people.
He didn't want the pirates to take over his ship.
Right.
He was annoying.
The Empire did nothing wrong. It was so
goofy, though. He had this really raspy voice. Yes. And, like, Ezra is, like, the impersonator. They always make Ezra do all these impersonations when they're trying to trick people. So, like, he had called for help, and whoever got on the speaker and was like asking what was
Yeah.
wrong. And so then
the mining guild people.
Ezra was like trying to impersonate him.
There's something wrong with the ship.
And then the lizard guy is like,
Do I really sound like that?
yeah. It was just so goofy. It was like
It was the goofy episode.
it didn't seem like any other episode they've ever done.
They've had goofy episodes. Oh yeah, in Visago.
Yeah, they found
So for some reason, the Empire, their punishment was to put them on this slaver ship.
Oh, they don't want to waste good labor.
Right. So they end up rescuing Visago.
and he thought that Kanan came in and found these slaves, and he thought that the rebels had been searching for him to save him, and that's why
Right.
they were there.
Yeah.
It was just happenstance.
So ultimately, the Imperials Visago makes the Imperials, leave. He convinces them that there's nothing wrong, and then they take over
Move
the
along.
ship.
Move along.
And meanwhile, on Yavin, Hera convinces Rebel Command to do a assault on the Defender factory since they have the flight recorder data. There you go. End of the episode. 6.
Yeah, those were the two notable things. They acted so dumb. They kept letting him wake back up, and they wouldn't tie him up.
And he was this tiny little scrawny lizard.
Trandoshan, yeah. Then the big Trandoshan was wailing on Zeb with this weird vibro lightsabery whip,
Yeah.
but it grabbed you and shocked you, but only if he was pushing a button, because it wasn't shocking Zeb when the guy didn't want it to.
Right. It was weird.
And it also could stop a lightsaber.
There's lots of things that can stop a lightsaber
Oh man.
in the new canon.
Yeah. I guess.
So rate it. Give it your rating.
You know what? Actually, for as goofy as it was, I like this episode better
Oh
than the last
gosh,
one.
I hated this episode.
I'm gonna give
It was
this an
so
8.
jarring. I was like, where am I? What is going on?
So what's your rating?
I'm going to rate it a 6.
That's what I gave it.
Oh,
Way to copy.
I wasn't even listening to you. I didn't hear you say that.
I wasn't even listening to the podcast that's going on in the room I'm in right now.
Well, good.
Not at all.
That's-
What did you rate it, Tim?
I give it an 8.
Jeez.
I liked it.
Ugh,
It was the
it
most.
was so goofy.
It was the most awake I've been for a Rebels episode all season, I think.
All the other ones have had, lately had stuff with the Force and,
Right. They're
lore
Hey.
and
I can't explain.
transporting caves.
it's the
and-
classic
kissing.
intense. Let it breathe. And then it goes right back into intense.
I needed a breather.
I didn't. I personally did not need a breather.
It was getting too intense for you.
Yep. So intense, I was falling asleep whenever we watched episodes. Okay, I guess that's it for talking about the episode. We're on to feedback then, eh?
Yeah, there's nothing else to talk about Crawler Commander.
You too could be read on the air. Letters at StarWarsNerdsUnite.com. You can be famous on the internet like Josh the Tosh, if only you send in an email. Just don't expect it to be read anytime soon. This one is from way down. Didn't copy it. It's got to be from Angry Farmer, right?
I don't know. I don't.
Oh, no.
I follow the process that I created.
What? I don't know how I missed it. Oh, I also forgot to say. Oh, but I didn't copy it. I'll read it. You find it. I'm pretty sure it's whatever. I'll read it. Hey, nerd leaders. To start, yes, SG has kinda strict laws.
No, this is from Randall.
This is
Yeah,
Randall.
Randall Lee.
Randall.
We are not allowed to sell or buy gum, chewing or bubble. We are not allowed to light firecrackers here due to fires. National service is compulsory. If you don't go, you can either leave and not return, not exaggerating, or you can get arrested for AWOL. Many strict rules. Next, could I request that Mr. Tosh keep sort of filter? Some of the stuff he says may upset some people, like when he said something about Hitler and the Holocaust and about Lady Caitlin, about her throat getting slit, and about Mongoloids. and some other stuff. And only 5 more years till I be a non-minor. What's it called after minor? Adult.
Adult, yeah.
And no, I am not trying to butter Tim up for a nickname. I just kind of want one.
So I already filter myself heavily.
I can tell you 100,000%. Josh has like a 43x filter on for this podcast. So thank the maker that's there. Or
I have gotten a lot more sensitive about Holocaust and Nazi jokes since we've had Yana. And it is insane how often people bring up Hitler and Nazis. I mean, like,
well, right
every
now,
single
specifically,
day.
Like, everyone, since the election, it's all over the place.
Every day.
Everybody wants to call somebody Hitler.
I mean, I'm not in the news, but I mean, like, in everyday conversations with people, every single day, I'm just noticing it more now. And maybe
You're
it's
more
happening
sensitive
more.
to it, right?
But, like, I am constantly hearing people reference World War II stuff. And I'm like, why is this so prevalent in, like, everyday conversation
because
all the time?
It's a clear-cut, relatable, real-life villain. People can see that and they can say, that's evil. And we can point to it. And they make great villains. That's why.
And it's like, you're trying to associate, trying to stick that label on other people, right? And then the other thing is, the opposite of that is, everyone sees the armies that defeated the Nazis as heroes and heroic and like true heroism and stuff. So it's like the Jedi and the Sith. Hitler and the Nazis are the Sith, and the Jedi are the Jedi, or
I don't
the
really
Alliance
care. Like,
military.
I don't mind people, like, specifically saying bad things about Hitler. Obviously, like, I'm not gonna defend Hitler. I don't care about that. But, like, when people are just, like, calling people Nazis nowadays all the time, and, like, whatever, I don't know. I just feel
You're just
bad.
more sensitized to it.
And
it's always been there. It hasn't been as prevalent as the last year.
She said that. She said at the very beginning of the conversation, I have gotten more sensitive about, and then the rest.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's totally different. You're having a German here.
That's what I'm saying now. That's why I'm so sensitive.
Me being in Germany multiple times, it's totally different. Like, you do not talk about it.
Right. That's why
Period.
I'm always, like, on edge when I hear somebody start to talk. I'm like, shut up.
She's going to have to get used to that.
Well, I don't know.
All I
It
know.
makes me feel bad.
It shouldn't. That's part of the experience.
Yeah.
Dealing with American.
It's not dealing with it. It's understanding culturally why it's important and why Americans act that way. Like, it makes sense why Germans don't want to talk about it, because it's a great shame on their history.
That's why I feel bad, because she has to go through U.S. history in high school.
And it's like 50%.
Well, they haven't gotten to that part yet.
Because, no, they haven't. But she told Nolan that it's really sad because, like, Americans are so proud of their ancestry, and, everybody's proud to be an American, and, there's patriotism and everything, and it's like you can't really feel that way, like, in a lot of ways. When you're German, you can't be proud of your great history. Yeah. So it's sad.
Well, it's she has to deal with that, right?
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but we all have to deal with it.
All I know is that when Yana leaves, I'm going to watch Inglourious Basterds.
Oh my God, you've already seen it.
I know, but I like that movie a lot.
Geez.
I've seen it a few times. I've been thinking about it a lot because it's on Netflix. It's in my suggestion
It shows
list
up
all the
every
time.
time you look at Netflix. Yeah.
And I won't watch it while she's here.
So the same thing for me with every time I open up HBO, it shows Suicide Squad for some reason. Like, I don't want to watch that movie, but you keep trying to make me watch this stupid movie.
Have you not seen it at all?
No, I haven't watched it.
I almost want you to watch it just so that you can share the misery.
I don't want it. I haven't seen Batman versus Superman. That one's on there too.
That one I wouldn't even recommend sharing misery.
I didn't even
so
know
bad.
that. Never mind. I can't spoil it.
All right, continuing.
So, anyways, Randall, you shouldn't take offense to anything that we say.
Yeah.
I know it's culturally different in Singapore, and we're very less. That's one of the things that people tell me that come visit the U.S. They're not used to how you can pretty much say whatever you want, and
Yeah.
people do, and they don't necessarily mean it
And
exactly.
they don't necessarily know what they're talking about.
Yeah,
but they can
Sure.
say whatever they want, and
Right.
there's no consequence. So they can be stupid
For
and
sure,
say things that make no sense. And nobody stops them, so they keep doing it.
right,
So don't worry about it.
right. You shouldn't worry about it. Don't apply your cultural norms onto us, and we won't apply our cultural
I think
dysfunctionality onto you.
he is right about the Mongoloid thing, and I don't know. I don't remember what happened with Lady Caitlin.
That one I don't.
I don't remember
have
that.
no idea.
But
He just went straight to it, I think, one time. It was just kind of out of nowhere. Hashtag Star Wars Rebels. I just watched the latest episode of Star Wars Rebels, Flight of the Defender, and I think that only Force users can see the Loth Wolf. The Loth cats are also the cutest thing, aside
You
from the
skipped
porgs.
over a whole bunch of stuff.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
You didn't talk about how it's hot in Singapore.
That's further down. That's his. He said. I always forgot.
okay,
And then it tagged it on.
My fault.
And I am happy that I was right about my prediction from the first Star Wars Rebels, first trailer. Sorry, that Sabine was knocked out. And you notice that so far that the story is more Ezra and Sabine centered.
I think Sabine.
well, not after that kiss.
Yeah,
It was a little bit.
I
in the
think it's
beginning.
definitely shifted. Like the first couple episodes were like Ezra and Sabine, and now it's firmly shifted to Kanan and Hera. Ezra's kind of playing a bit part, sort of. And Sabine's just there. Like, she hasn't really done a whole lot other than steal the hyperdrive.
Yeah, that's true enough. Well, and all the Mandalore stuff.
Once the Mandalore stuff was done, we're
Also, do you notice that in the Star Wars movies, you will not know the names of anyone by the time the show ends? I mean, they barely say the names of anyone, like Vader, Luke, Han, Leia, and others are actually never really said in the movies and only told in merchandise.
they're told at least once. I mean,
What?
the ones you listed off are not the ones you should have picked. Because their
Luke.
names are brought up all the time.
Luke.
Yeah.
They talk about Han all the time.
And same with Princess. They'll say Princess Leia or Princess.
Now, like the bit characters, like the background characters,
sure.
absolutely, because they
Right.
gave
well,
them names
like in
after
Rogue
the
One,
fact.
I still don't even know most of their names.
All the
like-
main characters, like,
Yeah, like the blind guy.
okay.
I mean, those
Yeah.
those are very forgettable
Chirrut?
names. They
yeah,
don't say
Chirrut
the names
Imwe.
very. I know, but like people that just watched the movie one time, they would never remember that. They probably only
Baze-
say his
Baze
name
Malbus?
like once.
Right. I agree with you.
Yeah.
They don't say their names a lot. That's normal for Star Wars, though. Like, that's normal for storytelling. You shouldn't. The names of the characters aren't relevant. Like, in the grand scheme of things.
Unless it's important to the story,
Which is a stupid trope.
like Indiana Jones.
That's not important to the story. That's just a joke.
That was a really funny one, though. He was named after the dog.
Like, what would make it stupid is if by calling her Rey and leaving off her last name, people are like, oh, they didn't say her name because it's Skywalker. Like, that's a dumb storytelling device to obfuscate somebody's heritage or family just by not saying her last name. Like, that's dumb. That's not a good reason to believe that.
Why?
Because the lack of saying somebody's name is not important to a story.
But the way they've built up Star Wars with all the speculation, it is important because it creates the conversation and it makes Star Wars popular.
No. The last name is unimportant.
Okay.
That's why you don't...
It is unless it's Skywalker.
Did you know Biggs' last name?
Kenobi. Yeah.
No, you didn't until the card game.
Well, that's how I knew who Biggs was in the first place.
Well, Biggs features somewhat prominently in the movie, right? He has a whole scene, which most characters don't.
Well, he has a scene, I guess, a little.
Yeah, he's got a whole thing with Luke.
In the original.
Right. Well, the extra...
Yeah.
That's even more. That's 2 scenes. And he talks to Biggs throughout the whole fight. So you know Biggs, but you don't know his last name. His last name's not important. That doesn't mean he's Biggs Palpatine all of a sudden.
It is a little strange that his last name was Darklighter. Yeah. Awful close to
Skywalker.
Yeah.
Well, they're both from Tatooine, so they have.
What's Tatooine?
The planet.
Where Jabba the Hutt
Is it like
lives.
Tatooine?
You could say it. I'm just telling you how Luke says it at the end of The Empire Strikes Back.
He says Tatooine.
Yeah.
He gets an accent when he's running around trying to find force powers.
Oh.
Anyway, thanks for reading this. And to Jen, I hope the pregnancy is going awesome. And by the words of my literature teacher, it's the final lap of the race. I also love the name Max, nickname or not. To the 2 guys, you guys are awesome. Josh, remember the filter. Thanks for reading this. Insert nickname here. RL out.
Thank you. I'm glad you like Max's name.
Hashtag SWNU, hashtag SWNUFTW, hashtag filter. He's on that. Hashtag baby Max. I also forgot to say that the heat is not very comforting, as it is always hot. Once it got 40 degrees Celsius, not always that hot though, mostly around 34 degrees Celsius, not always that cozy. After June, it rains 5 out of 7 days a week. Ooh. Josh was right. That... What country is he from?
He's from Singapore.
Singapore? SG?
Yeah.
Okay.
Multiple times he has said that I am correct about Singapore.
Also, if you Google search Singapore Wars, you will see that SG was taken over by Japan for a few years in World War II. That's one of the reasons that Singapore is an independent country. We just reached 52 years old this year. I do not think while I am typing an email, sorry being disorganized.
It's okay.
That's a pretty young country.
Yeah. He's got pretty good English. How does he have such good English?
English is compulsory.
Is it?
Yes. In almost every country in the world, English is compulsory. I should say every country that has a modern economy.
Except for America.
Yeah.
Next up. Ooh, this is a long letter. From Hobby.
Wow.
All right. Hey, Nerd Leaders. It's been a while since I sent an email through to you guys. Hope you're all good and that the baby and Tim are doing well.
The baby and Tim.
And of course, Jen and the Tosh, too. I've been sending the odd Facebook message, though, so hoping you get them. If not, I'll give you a quick update. I survived my trip back to Ireland with minimal scarring. It was great to be back there, but was super stoked to get back to New Zealand after. So I guess that means this place is home now. I found out that there's a village in the west of Ireland named Scariff. So between that and the First Jedi Temple, I would recommend a visit to the Emerald Isle for all Star Wars nerds. My cousin has an epic Star Wars Lego collection that made me super jealous. I'll send photos when I get them off my phone. Did he send photos? I don't think he did.
Nope.
Everything in New Zealand is awesome at the moment. We're just getting into late spring.
Sorry.
So it's shorts time once again. Once again. Do they have two shorts weathers per year?
We have
New
like 3
Zealand.
shorts weathers per year.
I feel bad for you guys every time you mention the cold. I heard you guys have booked your Last Jedi tickets. I'm super excited to see it. I booked mine as soon as they released. We're going to the midnight screening on the night of Wednesday, the 13th of December.
Wow.
So get this. It comes out in Japan on December 8th.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Wow.
How are we going to avoid spoilers?
That's up to you people.
Don't
I'll have
talk
watched the movie before we go to the movie.
Whatever. So I'm going to be one of the first people on the planet to see it. The cinema are screening The Force Awakens directly before it too, so I might have an entire evening of Star Wars coming up. I just got home from work, so I've just finished listening to the last 2 eps. Awesome work as always. Episode 1, I don't know about 131. It was a little sloppy. Episode 130 was good. Have to say I wasn't bothered about the Inferno Squad book, as the chances of me getting an Xbox One, PS4, or an Epic PC anytime in the next 10 years are very slim. So no Battlefront 2 for me. Well, there is a PS4 Slim, isn't there? And an Xbox One Slim?
The Xbox One S. It's not a Slim at all.
So yours are very slim. It's code.
Yeah, chances are slim.
He's going to get an Xbox Slim.
No, he's not.
The report was good, but it definitely sounds like a throwaway story, so I'm not going to bother with it. Yeah, especially if you're not going to read or watch the, play the video game. You could watch the videos on YouTube. I'm sure
you can watch all the videos on YouTube. It's like 2 hours long.
Is it? Seriously?
Yeah.
Wow. Does that include the playthrough? Just the cutscenes is 2 hours?
Yep.
No way.
It's like an hour and 52 minutes or something.
That's incredible. I would never have guessed that. Can we shoot Chuck Wendig? Oh, speaking of throwing things away, can we shoot Chuck Wendig out an airlock, please? That trilogy of hot, stinking garbage that he's spewed up onto the page almost made me give up on Star Wars. I'm trying really hard not to swear up a storm as I type this. You can swear in the emails. I'll filter it. I'll put in one of my nonsense words. These books had so much potential. They could have been epic, sweeping stories that grabbed new fans of Star Wars and pulled them headfirst into this amazing universe that we all fell in love with decades ago. But Chuck went and did the unthinkable, the impossible. He made Star Wars boring. These stories are so dull, I could only read one chapter at a time, and I had to force myself. I've read a lot of the old canon books, some good, some amazing, some less good, but none of them ever made me want to stop reading. He even made space battles dull. I mean, how can you make the crash landing of a super star destroyer into a planet sound boring?
By writing about it. The Battle of Jakku is in Battlefront 2.
Yeah, it is.
We'll talk about it in our
Battlefront 2 ep.
If we ever make it.
I did actually get bored reading Star Wars books from the old canon. Like at the very end when they were doing all the weird Force, good, bad, the sister and brother stuff, I was out. It was too much for me. When Luke was running around with his son all over the universe and Luke got kicked out of the Jedi Order, it was... Ugh.
It went kind of far off the deep end.
Yeah.
I get that not everyone is good
at writing action well. Everyone has their strengths, but was there a single likable character in the series? Jazz. Dull, whiny, wannabe bounty hunter with stupid character arc. Nora. They replaced Tycho Selchu's character from the old canon.
I always read it as Kelchu.
I think it is Kelchu. I always read it as Selchu, but I looked it up and it is Kelchu. I remember now. Old canon with an overbearing mother who is completely incapable of making a rational decision. Jom, a one-dimensional, lovesick, incompetent commando who dies in the stupidest way possible. And so many exclamation points. The gun turret wouldn't have warmed up in time to shoot down the missile, but they didn't have rifles? He could have shot the missile instead of high-fiving the dang thing, the idiot. Sinjir. Well, I actually liked Sinjir. He was interesting. Mr. Bones, so much potential. But the pirouetting thing in every fight scene was just ridiculous. And his death was stupid and pointless and lacked gravitas. Spoilers, sorry. The YVH battle droids that sacrificed themselves for Anakin Solo during the
How is it spoilers?
Merker strike team assault had more emotional impact, maximum efficiency.
We already did the review.
Yeah, I know. Ooh, Access is messaging us. Even the glitch he suffers when talking to Nora on the shuttle, something meat bag, which should have been a cool Easter egg, HK-47 KOTOR, was ham-fisted and just felt like a lame attempt to get fans to like him. Temin, snaps. The lamest call sign of all time for the lamest pilot of all time. The only thing that could snap about that guy is his neck. He's a whiny, self-absorbed mama's boy. Every time the books went to his portion of the story, I wanted to smash my Kindle. He could have been so great. There have been so many cool teenage characters in Star Wars, and he could have joined their ranks. But instead, we get this total loser who can't even fly an X-Wing in a space combat situation.
He's just learning.
Whining and complaining about wanting to be a pilot and then crapping your pants at the first sight of the enemy is not cool. I really hope we never see him in another Star Wars book. I know I'm probably being a bit harsh here, and maybe I'm comparing the books to the old canon a bit much, But the fact that these stories already exist and are available to read means there is no excuse for dull, meandering BS books like these. They took all the amazing Rogue Squadron books and stories and gave us Phantom Squadron. They took the legendary Wedge Antilles, the only person to have flown against 2 Death Stars and survived, and turned him into a bumbling, lovesick loser who lets Temmin join his elite squadron because he likes his mom. WTF. And then he lets Temmin dictate what they do in the most important space battle of the Rebellion's history? And don't get me started on Han, Lando, and the rest. I will delete these books from my Kindle, but I wish I could delete them from my memory. Absolute garbage. Whew. Man. I don't think he liked Aftermath.
No.
Anyway, that turned into a rant. Really sorry about that, but don't have time to you don't have time to read that on the podcast, Tim. I know you're short on time. Smiley face. I'll let you guys go now. I'm still loving the podcast. You guys are the greatest. I'll try to email a bit more so it doesn't turn into such an epic every time. Talk to you guys soon. Hobby84. P.S. Any recommendations on... Oh, crud.
A new book. I'm thinking either Lost Stars or From a Certain Point of View, but I'll try anything as long as they're not written by Wendick. I responded Lost Stars.
I would hate to recommend a bad book to him.
This was 3 kind of bad books, though.
Yeah. He seems angry.
Oh.
There's not much else to say. I mean, it's...
I think, well, who did you read the email from earlier who said they actually liked it? Was that Wilson?
No. This is Wilson. Or this is Hobby.
Yeah, that was Hobby.
Nobody likes Aftermath.
Yeah, no, he just read an email tonight and somebody said, I read Aftermath and I liked it. Don't judge me.
It was Wilson.
Okay. He's the only
Wilson
one.
Liked it. Hobby did not care for it.
I picked up on that a little bit. Wilson's the only person so far that has ever said anything positive about it. Or said anything that positive.
Yeah, I mean, there's been people that have said not negative stuff about it.
But almost everybody said they didn't like it in general.
The parts of the story that advance the greater mythology, are interesting.
If you read the Wikipedia article of Aftermath,
it sounds like an interesting book.
Just do that. I'll do one more letter on this podcast. Those 3 were really long. Oh my gosh, Jenny is gesticulating back and forth. It's short.
How long?
It's short.
It's not long.
30. You're already at.
We're at 33 minutes.
Oh my gosh, Jenny is dying.
She might be in active labor right now.
No, that's just the face she gives now.
No, I'm just.
You're so miserable tonight. I told everybody at work today how much better you were doing and how sleeping in the chair.
I'm doing better in the mornings. The nighttime is still the same. It's way better in the morning when I wake up.
You seemed a lot better.
We should record the podcast from the chair downstairs.
Oh, it's so noisy downstairs. And I have to move all this equipment. Oh my gosh. That would end me.
I'm not uncomfortable because of this chair. I'm uncomfortable because I have bile raising into my throat.
Have you tried eating just spinach?
I haven't.
Why not?
Why would I do that?
Because it would help with acid reflux.
Why do you think spinach helps with acid reflux?
Because it's super neutral and it has protein in it and it's just really good for you.
There you go, Jenny. Problem solved.
I don't think spinach has protein in it.
Yes, it does. It has a ton of protein.
It's one of the most protein-rich leafy greens. It's not.
I hope the mic picks up her breathing.
We're sighing.
This one's from Drew. He says, Aftermath. Tim, glad you enjoyed my first letter on Aftermath. That was surprisingly hard to write. So I have this problem. If I start a series, I have to finish it. Thankfully, Aftermath was only 3 books. I agree wholeheartedly Chuck shouldn't write any more Star Wars books. During book 2 and 3, I did find my favorite character was Bones. He cracked me up. I performed violence. And other crazy quotes. Which really doesn't say much for the books if an annoying droid is the best character. Stupid bombers had to go and blow him up. Was it just me or did Lando's voice in the interludes drive you crazy? Don't know why it bothered me. It's because Mark Thompson does really good at the voices, but he does them so annoying. I don't know, they're really close, but he's so annoying when he talks.
Yeah. He's just got a naturally annoying cadence.
I guess. Well, when he talks normally, his normal, when he does the narration, the stuff in between is fine. I don't know. Tim, you had talked about not watching shows out of order. Game of Thrones was like on season 4 or 5 when I started to watch it. My DVR didn't have episode or season numbers at the time. I just started watching them at random. Oh, yeah, that didn't work at all. I had no idea what was going on since then I learned my lesson. Last random thing. I was at Target looking for a Batman mask and stumbled onto a lightsaber that was 150 quid. Does anyone have one?
And he still put a $sign in front of it.
Yeah,
That's the worst part.
For that price, it better be flipping awesome. Jen, please wash and send my shirt. Ha ha ha, JK.
Yeah. ...
Not
So-
JK.
$150 for the lightsaber is not that expensive. There are like $600 lightsabers out there in existence that people buy regularly. You should... So he's the only person who will know this person, but Scott Morris owns 3 different custom lightsabers that all cost more than $200
For real?
for reals.
Well, he doesn't have a wife or kids.
Right. Or lots of things, but
Responsibilities.
he has multiple lightsabers.
Okay, last question. Is it hashtag fall of novels or hashtag fall of novels?
So it's NAVOLS or NAVALLS.
I think I did NAVALLS.
That's in my head what it should be.
Yeah. In Tennessee, they call the UT volunteers.
University of Tennessee.
Yeah. But it gets shortened to vols, which they pronounce vols.
Yeah.
So I'm confused now.
It's the vols.
It really just doesn't matter. It just matters how you pronounce it. You're just trying to...
But he needs to know so he can write the hashtag.
Yeah.
This is important.
The second one was right. Because we totally followed up on the hashtag fall of novels. We have another couple books coming up, right? P.S. John J. Best, PIA. Did you notice my nod to you signing letters BNA?
See, I didn't even pick that up because I had no idea that Nashville's sign was BNA. That was lots of little nuggets.
Nerd nuggets.
Yeah. Clearly, John did not pick up on it because he has not talked about it at all.
He would have brought it up immediately in a letter. All right, that's it for us. We're everywhere on the internet. Check out our Amazon link. Do all your Christmas shopping there. We're everywhere. Check us out. Twitter, Facebook. Letters at StarWarsNerdsUnite.com. You don't have much time left, people. Get your guesses in about when Jenny's going to give birth. You can send those in on Discord or Twitter or wherever. Whoever gets the closest will get something. I don't know what, though.
We'll promise you something at
Just
least.
like all the Patreon people who are supposed to have t-shirts.
How many are there? Just one, right?
More than one.
You sure?
Yes, pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure there's only one shirt that we're
Yeah.
due, but we need to just do it. We have shirts. I can report a long-term update. After 4 washings, the front little logo thing's starting to pill.
Jen's is, too. Or was I looking at yours yesterday?
You were looking at mine.
Okay.
That was his breasts that you're looking at.
I mixed them up. Jenny wears that shirt like every day to bed.
No, I don't.
Yes, you
I wear
do.
it a lot. And I haven't noticed,
90% of bedtimes you're wearing that shirt.
I haven't noticed anything. Pilling.
Pilling?
That's what he just said.
Yeah.
Peeling.
No, pilling. It's where the fabric makes those little balls.
Oh. In my face.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry I
It
used the
happens
right
with
words.
sweaters. You know when you get those little balls on your sweaters?
When they pill up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, we've already had the bollard
Jeez
conversation
Louise.
before. This is exactly like the bollard conversation. Like, I use the right word for things, and people act like I'm crazy.
Yep.
Tim was just making
Didn't mean
fun
to
of
put a
me.
bollard in your way. Yeah, I was making fun of her.
He thought I was.
I was
the
making
dumb
fun of her making fun of you. It didn't work out the way I expected. It backfired. Okay. That's it from us tonight. I don't think Jenny's going to make it through a 3rd episode, so we'll have to record the next Rebels later.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll
This
see.
might be the last episode
We
pre-baby.
only have one more Rebels episode.
Yeah. And in the fall hiatus.
What do you think? You gonna try to pull it out?
Yeah.
Whew. She's tough, guys. All right, let's get to the next one. May the force be with you.
May the force be with you.
May the force be with you.
Did you hear that? We're doomed.
This podcast is a part of the BenView network.
You can find this and other podcasts like it at BenViewNetwork.com.